Hey, welcome to another week of Radio Melee. PP is back from vacation. That's right.
Hi.
PP traveled to the land of Antarctica. He had to. Actually, I have no idea where PP went. But anyway, hope you had a good trip, PP. And we've
Thank
got
you.
Cody on this week,
Up.
iBDW. Not to mention, Cody's currently live on Twitch. So if you're one of the, denizens of Cody's chat, hello again.
Hello.
Hope you guys are doing great. And for people on the YouTube, of course, we do this, I would say every Tuesday, but of course we took it a week or two off because PP was on vacation. But we do this Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. You can come by our Twitch chats. And this goes out to everyone in Cody's chat as well. !! Radio Melee. Maybe it's not set up at Cody's chat, but if you do it in my PP chats, you can join the Discord server. The way this works is you can talk to us live on air. So this isn't your grandma's AMA. That's right. You're going to ask us anything, but then you're going to literally get to talk to us live on air and give us whatever questions you have, hot takes, and we're going to talk about it between the three of us because that's what we do around these parts. How you doing, PP? Did you have a good trip?
Did. I don't know if I'd call it a vacation. I was out there grinding, doing all kinds of crazy health stuff, feeling all kinds of ways. But you know what?
Gotcha.
You know what? I'm glad to be here. Glad to have Cody on. While I was out there, I was like, man, a lot of stuff sure is happening, especially in Australia.
So
Boy,
much stuff is happening in Australia.
it's so true, Toph. And I mean, Cody having a win, double down, win at a Phantom. I think it was like easy, no brainer. First chance that we got when we got back, we had to get him on because even though I checked, the last episode was with him was in September, and I feel like a lot's changed for him since then. So I was like, yeah, we got to get him back on.
Oh wow, that was after
Yeah.
Riptide?
Yeah, it was. I think we were talking about Riptide then.
That's cool.
And yeah, so I mean, let's just do the obvious, Cody. Let's talk about it. By the way, guys, Cody is iBDW. We're going to be calling him Cody. I made the point last time. We're making the point again this time, just so that the tag's long.
Yeah,
But yeah. So I mean, you had those wins, and I think in a time when I think a lot of people are struggling with consistency or whatever, it seems like your level of play, despite everything, is just continuing to go up, and you're still nabbing these back-to-back wins. What do you think is the difference maker for you?
Well, one, I think I also just literally play more than almost anyone else, but it's not just play more than anyone else. So there are people who might have more hours of just slippy friendlies, but that doesn't help you that much. You have to actually know how to practice properly and how to prepare properly. The biggest thing, honestly, is I feel like my gameplay wasn't super far off from this. It wasn't this good. I think right now my gameplay is I'm very happy with where it is right now, but I'm still going to keep working at it. I think the biggest thing is mentally. I have made big strides in how to view competition, and that, no offense to anyone, I think that is by far the average top melee player's weakest aspect by a landslide.
Sure.
Not even close.
Do you feel like, this is something I've always sort of thought this, and I mean, I've observed it even in myself, even as a non-top player. I mean, I think I think everyone learns a lot about themselves competing and, going through those sorts of emotions. But do you ever feel like we as a community have gotten better at it than we used to be? Because I do feel like when I compare how people were a couple years ago, and if you even look at the density of for example, post-loss tweets where people would be really salty or whatever.
Yeah.
Now compared to back then, I feel like people are so much better in terms of being reined in and looking forward rather than stewing in the moment, stewing in your salt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that's kind of that's not an easy question, not for an obvious reason, but because I don't actually know if being salty after a loss is a bad thing. I would argue that isn't a bad thing at all, actually. It really depends how you use that going forward. I do think that, in general, people's behavior on Twitter is much more professional than it was in years past. That I agree.
Sure.
But, I feel
That's a good
like
point.
anger is a really good motivator. I think that when I'm playing focused and I'm angry and I'm focused about it, not just blind rage, I happen to play my best. So I don't think anger happens to be a bad thing at all. I think it's probably the most powerful motivator that I can think of. It's much better than being afraid to lose. It's much better than being depressed. It's much better than any of those things. I'd rather be angry, be like, no, I want to fuck you up, than be like, oh well, I really don't want to lose, or I really want to maintain my spot, or God, like I'm gonna be so sad if this tournament doesn't go this way. I don't think that's a great mindset, actually.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing to hear.
It's like you can do it. So like I actually think there is a way to be like sad and motivated afterwards. I think Adam did that really well, where he would get sad, but he would get sad when it's like I am never ever ever letting that happen again, and he wouldn't get that scared in the moment. But it still caused some issues, but I think that is an effective way. Generally, I think anger is probably the most powerful motivator though that I can think of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of ways we could go with this one, but I guess an obvious question is, would you say that you're often angry playing Melee now? Would you say that's a difference in a positive or negative way?
Yeah, that's my secret cap.
I force myself to get angry when I'm playing a set. Yes, actually, I do. If you watch the way my eyes kind of like lock in when I played, especially at Phantom, I try very hard to make it like I want to send you home crying.
That's
quite literally my
something you
mindset.
visualize. You want the opponent tears.
That's the mindset that I like force myself into, where it's like I want to beat you as badly as I possibly can. I want to make sure. I basically told Sammy this. Sammy's Drugged Fox. I take lessons with him still twice a month. And I told him verbatim, I want to be the scariest player Melee's ever seen. I want you to play against me, and I want you to be genuinely scared. So that also applies to mental. I think the biggest trick is not letting that consume you in between, like outside of the tournament set. I think that you should.
Yeah.
That's like the mindset I want to have in tournament set. I don't want that mindset outside of the tournament set. Outside of the tournament set, I want it to be strictly based on like improvement, like what can I do wrong. And I'm trying to. This is something my girlfriend Emily told me to do. She's probably the best mental coach Melee will ever have. I don't think it's close. She basically told me that I actually need to learn to love the process of losing, because that's the only way that I'm not going to be scared to lose and be okay with whatever outcome happens.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
itself is probably going to beat even most of our top 5.
Yeah, no, that's powerful, absolutely, and so that's why I remember your tweets when after the tournament, I was kind of curious about what your mind state was like, and you were like, "Yep, I'm going to come back. I'm going to start swimming, and I need to make sure that I keep on. I need to lose. I need to make sure that I lose and I can play Sheik in tournaments, and that's going to be one of the most important things." And I was like, "Whoa, man, this guy is really staying on top of it."
Yep, I don't want to fall behind whatsoever. My goal isn't to be someone like in contention for number 1. So in some ways, people like to treat me as like a heel. Genuinely, we've had heels before. I don't think I'm close to a heel in the sense that we've had, but I do want people to hate when I win. I want it to be to the point where it's like, wow, he won again. Awesome. Okay, cool. Sick.
Well, you're getting there in terms of some of the Reddit discussion I've seen, but it is Reddit, so
Reddit tells me that my playstyle is slow and that they can predict every move I have coming from a mile away. And that
when they join tournaments, when they join tournaments, we're all fucked. I mean, they're gonna these guys are gonna walk all over us.
They can predict winner of the last 3 out of the last 4 majors. They're on another level. Amazing players.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really just asinine, honestly, to make comments like that.
People used to talk about if aliens who were really good at Melee came down and played, who'd we send against them? But
Reddit
really,
Warriors.
it's Reddit. If Reddit came in,
the Reddit Warriors, they know everything.
They know everything. So.
They're the best
That's
mindsets
exactly right.
ever. They know everything about mental game. They know everything about every player's habits and lives. They know how they wake up. They clearly know what mindset they're in, because if someone gets mad because of outside circumstances, they already knew that.
Yeah. Well said. Love a good Reddit skewering moment. Also, to kind of tie it back into what we were talking about a little bit earlier with the mental changes you were making and relating to our previous episode, I think there was talk. I was kind of looking through it. There was talk about, I think the title of it was, I know I can be the best player. There was talk about that. And then Zane and Mango were kind of the people that you really felt that you just need to put all this time into, overcome and everything like that. Would you say, because I mean, now after winning Phantom and Double Down, right? It almost feels like a different world looking back on September just a few months ago. But I mean, let's talk about that. You said the mindset changed so much. If you'd like, I guess you don't have to, or you can be as specific as you like. What do you think changed I guess particularly mindset wise, or what do you think made the biggest difference in getting you over those big hurdles?
So mostly, so obviously Summit 12 I played super well, but I think Summit 12, it's not that it was an anomaly. I was due for a tournament like that, but I wasn't due for consistency yet. Mostly because I did not have good mental after I won, but then that was made 10 times worse by my dad's very deteriorating health at the time. So if you don't know, again, I don't need to feel sorry for me, don't need to pity me. It's fine. It's part of life. It happens to all of us. Right after Summit 12, right before LACS, when I infamously deleted Twitter and had a meltdown, my dad had a stroke and then got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I was like not ready to deal with that at all, especially because I was the only one who could take care of him. So that entire burden fell on me, and it would continue to fall on me until just after Summit 13. So the first half of the year, honestly, I'm just surprised I did as well as I did. And I'm more surprised that not surprised. I am proud that I won Summit 13 under the circumstances because I signed a do not resuscitate order that morning before top 16. I signed a DNR saying like, okay, he's dead. Like, just let him go. That was after that happened and everything calmed down and I was able to kind of focus on myself again. That's when the biggest shift happened because my only poor performance was Gommel. And I think we can all point an obvious finger as to why I may not have performed so well at Gommel. May or may not have gone on a bunch of videos on some big YouTuber channels. I think it's a pretty good reason for why I didn't do super well there. And to be fair, I'm not saying I would have won if I didn't do that or if I hadn't planned on doing that. But there's also, it's unavoidable that idea in your head if you think about losing and what you're going to do when you lose, you are already sabotaging yourself. There is absolutely no way around that fact. And then
Was it worth it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I know there's a lot of debate. I think it was good for Melee. I think it was good for Melee. It got eyes
on Melee. People are like, oh, it's cringe stuff. I'm like, when's the last time someone like Voice Critical made a 2 million view video on Melee? Like, you can say whatever you want, it's cringe. The point is, it was supposed to be cringe. That was the point.
No, I thought it was genius. As it was happening, I remember I was sitting at the bar, and because we were the second half, me and Fish for the second half topic, we were watching on the phone. We were like, "Oh shit, what the fuck is going on?" We were getting like hype at the bar. It was really funny. A side note, it was kind of funny too because not even that set. It was that weekend on Saturday night. Another really cool moment was, the Chess Bra guys, because they're based in Toronto, they actually came to the venue because they wanted to check out the tournament. Yeah, and their first match that they got to watch was you versus Mango. And that was their first exposure to so that was their first exposure to IRL Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Nice.
And cool, I was like, I'm glad you guys came for a good one. This is a good one. That's a good first set to watch because crowd was popping off, and it was game 5 last stock,
really
right?
Yeah,
it was literally
game 5 last stock. He almost got the first 3-0 and then
clutched it out.
Yeah, very, very funny last stock.
Oh man, yeah. But anyway,
it's nice because Mango doesn't ever lose those game 5s.
Oh, I thought he was winning by the time game 5 rolled around. I was like, oh my god.
So I was that was more. I beat him. I felt like I beat him on his turf. I didn't just get like an easy 3-0 again. It was like I beat you when you're at your absolute best. So that was actually a big confidence boost for me too, because at that point it's like, okay, I'm not scared of you anymore. There's nothing to be scared of with you. I can beat you at your absolute strongest point.
That makes sense. You don't feel like you need to catch him on an off day, or you don't feel like you need to that's got to feel really good. Real quick, just for people, I'm starting to see that there's a lot of questions starting to fill up the channel, and if anyone wants to get any questions in. Honestly, this is probably your last chance. !Radio Melee. Do join the Discord and jump in that Submit Topics Here channel. PP, is there anything else that you wanted to ask Cody before we move into the community voice and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to circle back real quick because I think we talked. I asked, oh well, what was the mental game difference? And then I think Cody was saying, oh well, there were a lot of challenges that were in the way, and as those got removed, things were different. And so I just wanted to circle back just to say, were there any positive shifts? Were there any breakthroughs that you had that sort of have led to things being different? Because again, that's what you were saying was the big difference maker. So I just wanted to make sure that you really got to express how things have changed and improved for you.
Actually, yeah. So I'm sure you've seen like the kind of episodes I have after I lose. where it's like I get very, very depressed, and I make tweets that just like I remember Toph commented on. It's like, dude, you had a bad tournament. It's okay. After function, when I was like, I don't think I can do it anymore. Something that so my family has a big history of mental health, and obviously with my past, I wasn't gonna come out of that unscathed. That's an unfortunate reality. And so bipolar runs in my family. I don't know if it's exactly that, but we pretty much figured out that there's something that Emily and I identify as like fog, where a kind of impending feeling of like dread and just catastrophe comes over me. And if I don't succumb to that, then almost all of those mental issues go away.
Okay.
That's like
And
the
so
source of most of it.
and you have, I guess, have some strategies now to address the fog, to build up your own internal strength, things like that?
It's just accepting it. I didn't accept for a long time that was an issue of mine. I kind of just was like, "Oh, this is reality," and I'm just angry and I'm sad, and I never really thought about it from a mental health perspective. But now that I'm lucky in one sense where I can. A lot of people can't deal with mental illness without medication, things like that. I'm lucky enough that if I'm aware of it, I'm usually very good at dealing with it, even if I don't
Right.
have meds. I can kind of force myself to snap out of it, mostly because the way I grew up, I was forced to be able to do that, or I would not
Mhm.
have made it through my childhood. So that's in a lot of ways, people talk about like, oh, unfortunate life, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm actually very grateful that my life went the way it did because it forced me to build up a mental resiliency that
Mhm.
most people
Mhm.
will never have because they
Right.
just had no reason to develop it.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think that I'm lucky in that regard that I can kind of just snap out of it when I feel it. The big breakthrough for that was actually a Genesis when I was JMOOC was a mental block for me very,
Mm.
very badly for a long time. And the entire set was me focusing on not like letting whatever you want to call that, like fog, kind
Mm.
of get in my head. And I was like, no, don't tilt, don't tilt, don't. The only thing you're working on right now is it's okay if you lose. Don't give into this. And
Mm.
that's kind of the last time I've really experienced it, actually, outside
Okay.
of function slash when my dad was literally dying.
Right, right.
Which again, I think it's very understandable. But that's the last time I really experienced it. After I kind of knocked that out of me, I haven't felt it since.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, that's I think for people that have, kind of followed you for a long time and seen a lot of the struggles and heard, a lot of what's gone on, which has just been absolutely crazy, including, what you've been sharing.
Yeah.
I think it's cool to hear that you've been able to take some of that adversity, turn that into some strength, and also keep a, longer standing issues at bay. So that's wonderful to hear. And I think, for the Cody fans out there, I think that's a very encouraging sign, right? It means there's some longer standing stuff coming together. So glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And yes, certainly congratulations on it, because
Thank
that
you.
stuff's not easy.
No, it's not.
Definitely.
Yeah, the most important part is just recognizing that regression will happen, and that's okay.
Yeah, sometimes things get tough, but we'll
Sometimes
be
you
all
just
right.
have a bad day, and that's all right. Being okay
Yeah.
with that going forward is also key. Like
Mm-hmm.
being okay with a bad performance going forward is key.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whatever their causes be, just learn from it.
Yeah, and the more you accept it, the less likely it is to happen. That's the
Yeah.
paradox of it. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. Really do
Yeah, no problem.
appreciate it. We are going to go ahead and hard cut. We're going to veer a little bit. We're going to start bringing some callers in. So thank you. Oh, wait, before we, oh, right. I just remembered. I was just kidding. A community voice. No, I
You
wouldn't. I
forgot all
wouldn't
about
forget.
it.
No, I would never forget. I just want to see if you were paying attention. Of course. So we
Well,
had.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to let you.
Yeah,
I
thank
Did we
figured
you.
you
have
might
this
be
exact
finishing your
same
sentence
interaction
by.
last time? I'm
Oh
getting
no,
deja
we're the
vu.
professionals. We would never
No, this would
make the
never
same
happen.
Well,
mistake
you didn't forget.
twice.
You were testing him last time too. You didn't. You
Right.
never forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We
What was
have
the
a lot of
question
fun
though?
with that.
Because we
That's a good
haven't done an
question.
episode for 2 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks. So let's see. You know what? Let's bring up the
Yeah, let's bring the
responses, and
question.
that'll
Mhm.
jog. Yeah, that'll jog my memory. Um.
Oh,
Oh,
we
this
were.
is like, yeah, this was basically, the question was essentially, who are people in your local scene that you just really want to give like a shout out to, in the sense of,
Mm,
somebody who helped you get into
that's
the
nice.
game, someone who's a homie, someone who drives everybody to all the tournaments or something. And so Mr. Slopez says, shout outs to Mo AK Blast, single-handedly keeping CFL Melee alive, Central Florida, and setting up events. Jovian for being so committed to running a cool stream for many events, traveled to so many events. Wouldn't have a scene without him.
Love the hardworking gamers. They really are so important for the scene.
Yeah.
Vinny F saying, I want everyone to keep the name Spike in their head. He's going to be making waves soon. He just won East Coast Fridays over BBB. He's always been amazing, but just never entered much.
Oh wow.
That's a pretty good result.
Another upstate chic.
Another
Oh,
upstate
really?
sheik?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless
Vinny,
they
I
moved,
feel like
like
I've
they were at one
I feel like
point.
I've even heard the name Vinny F. And Drew Powell says Gage from Jacksonville. I've heard of Gage, but that being said, I think there's like 3 or 4 people in the community named Gage.
Yes.
We're all pretty good. This dude was an absolute beast, far above everyone else in Jacksonville. When he moved to San Diego, yeah, okay, this Gage. Oh, so now I know that. I actually knew of both San Diego Gage and Florida Gage.
They are
and
the same.
I always thought those were 2 different people. Now I've learned that those are the same persons. That's good. That's educational. When he moved to San Diego, it was interesting seeing him take off sets. Seeing him take sets off the top SoCal talent like Squid, Face Roll, and Santiago. And also got a shout out how apparently in 2008 at Fast One, he 4-stocked Meet King's Fox during a friendly session and was asked by Leff and Norma for Fox Nittos at CEO 2015. Gage is the player I think of whenever I hear the term hidden ball. Yeah, it's funny that Gage ended. I always thought it was funny with San Diego because San Diego has a bunch of players like that. I guess Santiago being the most famous,
Right.
but these people who are really good but never travel, basically.
Never heard of him, I'm not gonna lie. Might have been
Well, you've
before
heard
my
of
time.
You've heard of Santi.
I heard of Santi. I never heard of Gage. That might have been before my time.
Got it. Yeah, funny that he ended up there. Evan Himes says
Himes,
probably.
Himes. It's like times, but Himes. There are tons of CLM people I want to shout out, but I think a lot of people don't know about Chicago's local Q ? He doesn't have Facebook. He only made a Twitter to complain that his ride home from House of Pain got drunk, and I think his lifetime winning record's over Samuel and Sabo. Loki may be the best actor dog in the world.
I feel like that's probably super inaccurate, but if that's even remotely true, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's really funny. There's a lot of people like that, and I always like you play these people on Slippy where you're like, wait, this person's like really good, and you always wonder like, what if this person just doesn't go to tournaments and like could and just would whoop on people? I don't know. Yeah. So, well, anyway, we're about ready to get our first caller on the program, and I think it's going to be Mabster314. Welcome to Radio Melee, Mabster. Where are you calling in from, and what you got for us today?
Hello, I'm calling in from Alexandria, Virginia.
I've been there. My grandma used to live there. Shout out to Alexandria.
And I wanted to ask iBDW about how doing subathons has affected how you approach streaming.
You're in my chat. You can just say Cody. You're a sub even. You can just say Cody.
No. He wanted to get you up in
professional.
person. You can't avoid it now, Mr. iBDW.
That's funny.
It's actually nice because it makes me less stressed. If I have to travel a bunch and then I'm home for like 3 weeks, the subathon makes me way less stressed about streaming that entire time. So I'll like kill myself for a week basically. But after that, well, the thing is after that I can actually relax for 2 weeks, stream kind of just regular Melee gameplay. I don't have to go crazy. I don't have to do anything extra. And I can spend time with like my family stuff for those 2 weeks. And so it's almost like a job where you have 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off kind of deal.
Okay.
It makes you feel more that way, which is really nice actually.
When you do these subathons, how long do you go for?
Usually about a week.
Oh, jeez.
Do you do the thing where you sleep on stream and everything?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was talking about the bed cam before we went live.
I don't really mind it that much, honestly. It gets tiring towards the end, but the first 4 or 5 days are usually pretty easy, actually.
Huh.
Holy cow.
I
guess
haven't
if you
done
do
one.
it
Maybe
enough.
I should. Yeah, maybe you just get used to it.
Yeah, I think I just got used to it at this point. I messaged Plup about this one. I'm like, hey, you're not starting another subathon the same day I'm doing mine again, are you?
Oh, this happened twice?
It's happened 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
God. How does that
did
end
a
up
subathon
happening?
during a celebration. Just complete RNG. Like, I know it's not malicious and I know it's not on purpose.
Wow.
But he started one during a celebration stream. He started another one during a subathon, and then another one that I did to pay bills. He actually he just coincidentally started one the day before that. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is ridiculous.
But you hit him up, and he was like, "No, for sure, not this time."
Yeah. First he said, "What if I am?" And I was like,
"That's a Plup response."
Ominous,
like,
ominous, very ominous.
And he's like, "But no, I don't think so." I was like, thank God."
What I've always wondered about with regards to the whole stress on your streaming schedule and stuff like that. I've always wondered about. Part of the reason I've never done one is I'm really scared because you get all these gifted subs and stuff, right? Because people want to keep the sub on going, but then after a month, don't you like? I'm scared that you lose a bunch of subs and that feels really bad.
I mean, just view it as like a donation. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you have to.
So the way
When the
I
Twitch payment hits, though, that's you got to wait
Yeah.
for that part.
Yeah, that's true. I guess
It's
at
not
the end
gonna
of the
be
day,
linear
that's what it's
growth.
about.
Yeah, and for
Yeah.
me, I care much more about looking at my paid subs every month than my gifted subs. Gifted subs are kind of RNG.
Yeah,
and paid subs
yeah.
are much more static. So if those go down, then I have to reevaluate. But if those are steadily growing, then I don't mind as much.
Right. Guess that makes sense.
So
Maybe
like,
I'll
I
do
got
one.
home after a month of traveling, and I still had like 850, and I was okay. That's really high for a month of traveling. Those are basically all organic paid, primed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, one other
Makes
thing
sense.
about subathons, real quick, that I'm curious about is you don't find those to be hard on the body. I guess it's not hard on the mental. You're like, I'm gonna do another one, so I guess that's not tough. But
Mhm.
the body, I'm like, you're
sitting all
just
day.
sitting. Right?
Well, I make myself take breaks like every half hour. I force myself to give myself an hour after this. I'm done like on stream for the night, just to kind of relax off stream and chill before I go to bed. I'll
Mhm.
probably force myself to do some kind of workout in the morning. Maybe I'll like sub goal working out on stream, just doing some crappy home workout. I don't know.
Sure. I think
So
that
there's
like
definitely
that.
ways, and you can monetize it too. There's
Right.
always workarounds. It just depends on how you structure it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that seems healthy, and you were talking more about doing that anyway, so it's good you're going to keep those habits. But yeah, Mabster, thank you so much for calling in with the question. Not letting Cody avoid that in chat. Well done. You got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Yeah, I wanted to shout out my friend Colton, aka CDT from Duluth, Minnesota. And I also wanted to say that iBDW still owes chat an IRL sussy emote.
Moving on.
Good luck with that.
Great hearing you, Mabs.
Yeah.
Cody typing to us right now, actually. Hey, can we ban this guy? But yeah, okay. Anyway, Mabster, thanks for calling in. Take care.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I somehow feel like if I did that,
Wonderful.
Twitch would find a way to ban me.
Yeah. Possible. Very, very possible.
Somehow, I'm not getting banned for doing IRL sussy. That'd be the dumbest way to go out.
The dumbest way to go out. The So do you think you're number 2 in the community in terms of number of subathons executed, or because number one's got to be? I feel like Plup does one every
Yeah, Plup
3
kind of does the
weeks.
same thing. He does subathon every once a month, and then he doesn't stream the rest of the month. And it's honestly pretty smart if you want to do it that way.
Oh,
I'm
man.
down. Like, I'm super down. I like it.
Holy cow.
It's hard, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like doctors do crazy 18-hour shifts for 4 days in a row.
I used to have this philosophy when I was an engineer, right? Which was maybe less on the monthly cycle, but on like a weekly cycle, I would like super try hard and try to just get all my shit done.
Yeah.
In a day or two, and then just kind of just chill for the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is kind of like the logical extreme of that mentality.
Yeah, it's in college. Get all your classes done before Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take the 3-hour lectures every day to get away from a Friday class.
Yeah, maybe there's something to it.
I like it. It makes me so much less stressed for the rest of the month.
Well,
Interesting.
We're not stress fans, but we are fans of bringing in our next caller, Ditochi. Look at the segue. Oh man, how does he do it? He's a professional. What's up? Where are you calling in from? What's your question for us today?
Hey. Calling in from Richmond, Virginia.
Wow, a lot of Virginia. Yeah.
What's up? PP Toph, iBDW, huge fans.
Yo.
Melee.
What's up?
Cody, congrats on the double win this month.
Thank you.
Good shit.
That was also
All
fun, but very nice.
Yeah.
The double win, the double down.
Yeah.
None intended. All right, so I've got a potentially controversial question about a hot topic for Cody.
Oh boy.
I know. How do you feel about people attributing your recent success to your switch to Z jumping?
Oh, here we go.
Oh man, I'm curious about this too.
You know what?
I'm curious about this
I'm about to
too.
just go full. I'm about to be full on board. It's like, yeah, I cheat using Z jump. You change now. Fuck you. I'm like 2 inches away from just going along with it at this point. Z jump is objectively a preference on whether or not you want to use claw or whether or not you want to use bumper jumper from Halo 3. That is the best way I can put it. If you get mad at Z jump for any other reason than it is not possible on a regular OEM controller without the help of a modder and $10, then in which case, okay, I'm down. I won't allow any mods because you still at that point you have to get mad at Firefox notches, you have to get mad at cut springs, you have to get mad at any type of custom controller, and you have to get mad at boxes. The only thing you're cool with is a vanilla OEM controller. If you're mad at for any other reason, you are mad at me using bumper jumper and Halo.
Is bumper jumper just the shoulder button?
Yeah, it's literally just you jump with the shoulder button, and it's a default preset. And every other
bumper
Smash
jump, I like
game
that.
has 1-to-1 remaps, and every fighting game in the world has 1-to-1 remaps.
I always thought, right, because for me, I've clawed since the beginning of time. I played Z Jump for about long enough to kind of get the muscle memory down for jump cancel grabbing and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know, I'm already clawing for a lot of my inputs. To me, it doesn't really seem that special. I've been clawing for 10 years, and
it's not if you claw. That's the entire point. Like Kalindi,
the whole point, right?
Kalindi switched back to claw. Emily doesn't use it anymore because she'd rather use claw. Like it's literally a preference. And then Mango's like, oh, but you can do all this stuff so easy. And I'm like, well, do you claw? And he's like, no. And I'm like, you can also do it very easily. It's not hard.
Yeah. I this is the thing that I thought was kind of funny was I saw like a clip on YouTube of like Leffen talking about Z Jump, and he was talking about it's like, oh, the Foxes that are performing really well right now are the ones that switched to Z Jump. And I couldn't, the clip was too short for me to know if he was memeing or trolling.
It has to be a meme because the Foxes that are performing the best are also the two highest ranked Foxes.
It's you and Leffen. Like, oh yeah, SFAT was beating you guys up before you guys switched to Z Jump. Like, no,
like you guys were not top 50 right now.
Right. So, yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I never. Right. But
if
anyway,
you're getting mad at Z Jump, I got a list of things for you to get mad at before Z Jump.
Yeah.
They also act like it came out of nowhere. Like I was still third in the world before I switched to Z Jump pretty clearly, and I had just gotten there. It's not like I was stuck there. I had played for 4.5 years and was third in the world.
Yeah,
5.5 years, whatever it was. And then I happened to take a next step at a similar time that I switched, and do I think it would have drastically affected if I just kept clawing? No, I don't actually.
Yeah.
PP, I'm curious, kind of what your thoughts are in the sense that I think it's interesting that you didn't really compete at a time when people were really doing. The community's outlook on controller mods and things like that was definitely different back then. I'm kind of wondering.
Someone actually asked me in my chat yesterday. They were like, "Yeah, so Z jumping. I mean," and then they were also like, but there's also so many other things with controllers. People weren't really doing that when you were playing, right? And I was like, "Yeah, we were starting to shield drop notch, and that's what we were doing back then because we didn't have like a UCF we always used, or it wasn't fully adopted yet, and that was what we were doing at the time, and I was all for that." I was like, yeah, let's do that because that seems like that works better. And then they started, and then I think wave dash notches were right after that, and I was like, well, I don't know, guys. and then, but by the time I wanted to have any discussion about it, it was just everything was there now, and so now there's all this, and so it's very different for me, but. Something I experience regardless is I'll play someone and they're going to be fast, and whether they're boxing or Z jumping or however it's happening, it's fast. And so I'm like, all right, I've gotta figure it out regardless. And so that's until whatever the controller backroom or whatever they call themselves comes out with something, then this is the world we're living in, and no point complaining about it. I'll tell you that.
I think we know generally what the controller modifications, at least a guideline for them, are going to be. There's going to be some type of box nerf for travel time, most likely. Which is kind of needed. I don't to clarify, I don't think anyone is carried by box yet. I think that it will be possible in 2 or 3 years. So this is more about making sure it doesn't happen before it happens.
Right.
I think you can kind of tell analog inputs without travel time why that'd be problematic when you have an analog stick. Just the nature of those inputs. And then my guess is some of the features on the Goon Wave might also be banned because the easier up tilting is absurd. Ledge dashing on that thing, I don't know if you've tested it, is the freest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Up tilt rounding is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, up tilt rounding is ridiculous. Dash back out of crouch on it is ridiculous. It's like 3 frames or something. Ledge dashing is insane. The fob is nice because it doesn't actually make any of that stuff easier. It just works.
It's more like a vanilla controller in that sense.
Yeah, it's much more
good
like
vanilla controller.
That works the way it's supposed to. I've had the same controller for 2-3 months, and and I play a lot of Melee. It's exactly the same as when I picked it up.
Nice. Yeah, I've been using a fob too, and it's been treating me really well.
Love fob.
Yeah.
I definitely like I've gone to one tournament so far. I haven't played. I've only had it for like 2 weeks, but I remember I was playing on stream and I was like, huh, like this is the first stream set in a while where I feel like I'm not making mistakes, and the few mistakes that I'm making, execution mistakes, I should say.
Or
And
like
I felt like
mistakes.
were my mistakes. I was
Yeah.
like yeah. And I was like, wow, that I haven't felt like this in a while. So
I
that was
know.
awesome.
It's really nice. It feels like it works.
And about the, being mad about this controller, that controller, I have something actually this question reminded me of that I wanted to ask you about, because this is something that I feel like no one was talking about it. Remember, like about a month or two ago, there were a lot of YouTube videos coming out about Z jumping, people were tweeting, and Mango was talking about all this. And I remember someone said like, well, the reason we're upset about Z jump and not even though boxes are probably more broken in the long run, people are more upset about Z jump right now because people like Left and Cody are getting really good results with Z jumping, but no one's really done that with the box. No one's like top 8 at a major with the box, and I kind of wanted to be like, wait, Hacks literally did get 5th at Genesis with the box, and
that's what I said.
I feel like no one talked about it. I feel like no one. Right? It just kind of happened. People were like,
he had
oh,
the
okay,
crazy Genesis run. He had the Mango's birthday bash run. He was shitting on HBox. He was taking Mango to game 5. He beat Plup. I remember that.
He beat Plup?
That was my first instinct.
Shit,
Yeah,
I don't
at a
remember
summit.
that.
Summon 9, he beat Plup in pools. And he almost beat Mango. It was game 5 last stock, I think. And I remember saying that, I'm like, guys, like, Hacks already did this on the box. Like, this isn't, it's not like he came out of nowhere. He did this on the box already. It's like, well, he already did it. I'm like, okay, Leffen won majors on an OEM controller, and I got second so many fucking times on an OEM controller. I don't even want to remember it.
Yeah, you didn't really. I don't feel like your results were due to the Z jump thing at all. Like you were definitely already pretty much there. So I thought it was interesting. I definitely do feel like there's always going to be this Redditor recency bias kind of. People are always going to be a little bit flavor of the month on this sort of thing.
Well, Mango also specifically said he doesn't even think I'm cheating. He just likes pissing me off.
That's true. Yeah, with Mango, you do have to kind of take things with a grain of salt. That's a good point.
So I'm assuming my guess is that there's something there where he probably thinks it's kind of stupid, but I don't think he cares enough to do anything about it, and I don't think he really thinks that like I would be substantially worse off Z jump. I think that he knows that's not the case. He just likes fucking with me, and I get very mad when he fucks with me about that. So he does a good job. Good shit, Mango.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Mind games.
Yes,
good question though. Thank you for I mean, feel like it's a little bit less of a hot topic than it was maybe a month or two ago, but still kind of interesting to talk about. So thank you for the good question, Ditochi, and any shout outs you want to do on your way out?
Oh, of course, yeah. Shout out to you guys, Golden Guardian.
Thank you.
Watching a bunch of y'all's videos. Good.
Oh hell yeah!
All around.
Appreciate that. We got more coming.
Good. Shout outs to my buds from college who got me into Melee, like hardcore. We used to watch all the tourneys. GG easy homies. They helped me catch up to my old childhood friends, the Bustas. So now I can actually put up a fight against them in the game.
Nice.
Shout out.
You called them the Bustas?
The Bustas, yeah, we're just a bunch of busters.
I like that.
We're always going out like busters.
Yeah.
And shout outs to the Richmond scene and my 2 Melee mentors who taught me more than anything, Andy and Sean. They were both big guys in the Richmond scene, but had to move away. So then, right as they moved, Slippy came out, so I could play with them across the ocean. So
Nice.
shouts out to
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout
out to Fizzy.
That's awesome.
And
there's definitely been a lot of people I've reconnected with thanks to Slippy.
Yeah.
Where I get to play them all the time, and I definitely just wouldn't be playing them at all anymore.
Yeah, big shout outs.
Hell yeah.
Right, thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, Ditochi.
Have a good one.
Well, in the wake of all this Z-Jump discussion, let's just not forget who the original Z-Jumper was. The first competitive player competing at the top level who switched their X and their Z buttons. That's right, it is the Crimson Blur. This is true. This is true.
This is true. Blur, a trailblazer.
A trailblazer, that's right. A trailblazer of the community. A real something. I don't know. There's a word that I'm looking for that escapes me right now, but it's that.
Yeah.
Crimson Blur's that.
Oh god. Do I say this? I don't know. Okay, no, I'm just gonna say it. So Blur has like some genuinely great ideas, but it feels like he throws like a bunch of like pudding at a wall, and just some of it happens to stick. And I was like, see, I told you that this was
Yeah.
great. I was like, what about the 80 trillion things you told me that were just completely wrong?
Blur
yeah,
is so
a
happy
broken
we're
clock
talking
is
about
right
him right
twice
now.
a day.
Oh my god. That is you actually have deciphered. You've cracked the code. That is 100% true. The thing you just said. That is so true. It hurts.
It's funny, but sometimes I'd see it and then it's like, oh my god, Blair, please.
Yeah.
Let's go, Blur.
100%.
That's what I'm
Hey, let's go,
talking
Blur.
about.
Oh, we're here
He
talking about
stays
him.
winning. He stays winning.
That's
Let's go,
right.
Blur.
That's
Talking about
right.
him.
We are talking about him. Yeah, he's like whatchamacallit? It's like Kev Jack Sparrow, you know. But you have heard of me.
Mm-hmm.
You have the worst hot takes I've ever heard of, Blur. But you have heard of me.
Yep. Pikachu's not
Oh,
6th or
yeah.
5th best.
Yeah.
True.
Well, we're ready to get our next caller on. It looks like I don't know how to pronounce it though. So, welcome to the program. How do you say your name and where are you calling in from?
It's Isaac.
Oh, that's so sick.
That's what
Oh
I'm
my
on.
god. Hello, Isaac.
Very nice. So where are you calling in from? What's your question for us today, Isaac?
Hi. Yeah, I'm calling in from Utah.
Utah, nice.
Yeah. And my
About time we got
question-
someone in from not Virginia. Just kidding. Go
Yeah,
on.
seriously. So my question is directed mostly towards Cody and PP, but I guess Toph, if you want to weigh in on it too, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm relatively new to competitive Melee, so I am wondering what steps are the most important ones to take to consistently improve at really any level of play, and how do you discipline yourself to actually learn and practice when you really don't want to or just want to grind unranked like every other Melee player?
So I guess I'll say my piece and then maybe you could just comment on it or you can add whatever
Sure.
you have to add because I'm sure we'll have different perspectives.
Sure.
First part, which is I think the more important part for a lot of people, how do I motivate myself to do the thing every single day? Depends on what type of motivation you respond best to. Some people respond really well to extrinsic motivation, different external factors. Some people get motivated by reminding themselves that you will not win if you don't do what you're trying to do, and people who are motivated super hard by winning obviously will do well with that. I actually find that from a material standpoint or something that you can actively do standpoint, the best way to do that is just to schedule out when you're going to do things. Because there's not, do I want to do this? It's like, no, this is in my schedule. I'm going to do this now. This is how I'm going to structure my routine. I'm going to do this on this day, this on this day. And there's no real way that you can, unless you just blatantly ignore your schedule, in which case that's just discipline issue. You're going to have to find some discipline or find a way to reward yourself to make it something that you want to do. You have like the structure in front of you already. You already know what you have to do. If you want to talk, PB, about the gameplay stuff or add on anything I said.
Sure. Yeah, so motivation, I think something I hear from a lot of people coming up. I mean, I saw Cody's stream title the other day, and he was playing the greatest game ever. I mean, he was playing Melee, by the way, and he was really. So I think for me, something I see so many people who succeed at the game talk about is how much they love the game.
Yeah.
And I think the more that you lean into that, the more that you enjoy that, the better off you can be, because that gets harder the better you get. There's so much crap that gets in the way, like, oh, I need my Twitter followers, or oh, I need, to get this result or get this rank, and so I can get sponsored in whatever. And that stuff can be really important, but it can also get in the way and it can impact your enjoyment and everything like that. So I always find it beneficial to remind people, this game is fun. It's beautiful, and you got to remember why you started all this in the first place, why you wanted to put yourself through the no money meat grinder in the first place. So I think it's absolutely important to hold on to that, in addition to figuring out what motivates you, like Cody's talking about. I think that's also important. In terms of in the game, how do you not just grind friendlies and stick to what you're doing? I mean, again, I think it's kind of the same thing, but I think also try to find a way. So many people will talk to me like when I'm doing coaching or whatever, and they'll say, oh, well, it's boring. Like, it's boring to do the same thing over and over. And I'm like, okay, so let's find a way to make it interesting. If you hate practice, don't practice that way. It's it's just obvious. Like, and you're gonna have to stretch, and you're gonna have to find something that makes it interesting for you. And maybe you do something unique. Maybe you need to stand up to practice. Maybe you need to use your voice or something when you get it. You're like, yes, that was good. Like, or like so you can get into it more. Whatever it is. Find something that engages you, that reinforces what you're doing, that makes it interesting, so that you can keep building on that. And you might have to experiment, but it's a whole lot better than being bored and then playing 400 hours of unranked that won't get you what you want, but it's like, oh, well, I could though. And you got to not do that as much as possible. So, I think what I'm really glad about Cody's response is how much he was talking about, what you really want. And I just want to kind of add to that and say that is so important. It is so valuable. And that's kind of why this game can be such a beautiful journey, is you can learn so much about yourself that you can take into a lot of other things that way.
Mm-hmm. What level of play would you say you're at right now, Isaac?
I've been playing. I've said 4 months for a while. I know I started February 20th something.
So it's starting to not be true.
So
Okay,
I guess it's 5 months now. But
yeah.
I've been told multiple times that I'm good for only playing that long, and I really think it's mostly because I spend most of my time labbing and doing VOD reviews.
You do.
General
Wow,
movement.
already. I would say that's probably pretty rare at that level. Like, if anything, at that level, you probably have so much improvement you can just still get off of
I play
raw
Yoshi.
experience,
I
right?
need to do that at this level.
Okay, that's logical.
Yeah, you can only double jump Nair in so many times before you realize it just doesn't work.
I don't think
You'd be surprised.
people who play unranked. Oh, I think you are underestimating the power of unranked people.
Yep, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, it's funny because there are definitely players who, even at the top level, that play a lot of unranked, right? Like Laud, for example.
Yeah.
And people talk about that, but I think, like Cody said, figure out what works for you, figure out what motivates you. And also, there's this concept that maybe you've heard when it comes to improving at things of make it easy for yourself to do. Like, it shouldn't feel like PP kind of said it shouldn't feel like hard work. Like make whatever routine you want to build for yourself, like find ways to make it easy for you to do those things. So for me, I mean, a really simple step was I used to hate booting up the Slippy launcher to do VOD review on my Slippy files because it took a long time to load. So for me, a big part, and this is going to sound really stupid, but a big part of me getting better at doing VOD review on a regular basis was going into the fucking settings and changing it so it folderizes where your replays get saved every month so that it doesn't take a long ass time to load that one folder. And ever since I did that, I've been way more down to open up the Slippy launcher and look at my replays and watch my replays. So, like, if there are sticking points, like if there's a reason that you don't feel like doing a certain thing, but you should be doing that thing, instead of it feeling like really hard work every time, find a way to make it easy or feel natural or fun, like PP said, to do the thing that you feel like you need to do.
Yeah, and there are all kinds of, other logistical things, like instead of doing all your practice at once, you can break it up into two halves. There's all kinds of other things that you can add on after that. But again, I think that stuff is more secondary to getting the mental, emotional element down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say most of my VOD review is mostly because I will just play somebody on unranked and go, I want to make sure I never lose to somebody who does this ever again.
Yeah. It's a great motivator.
Anger's a good motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Get angry.
Definitely.
It works. Don't actively make people feel uncomfortable because you're angry.
True. Important clarifier.
Important clarifier, yeah. Yeah.
Well, hey, I think we've covered it pretty well. Everyone said their piece, and great question. I think we've certainly got someone fantastic on to talk about improvement. So
yeah,
thank you so much for calling in, Isaac. Any shout outs for us on your way out today?
I guess first off, shout outs to Cody. I definitely spend too much time in a stream. The whole Melee scene, especially Utah scene, especially since the only local that I know of is scheduled on the one day I can never make it. Which is sad.
That's tragic.
That is sad.
And I guess one last shout out to the NorCal Sheik who one and done me IRL at Double Down. That was funny.
Strong.
Do you know who it was?
I don't know who it was, but I went against like 4 different NorCal Sheiks, and I just remember him specifically because he won and done me, then went and started 4-stalking a Fox. I was like, oh, it wasn't because I'm bad. It's just he wanted to beat up on a top tier.
Yeah, he just didn't want to play against Yoshi.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I will say IRL one and dunning is not common.
That hits different.
Right?
That's
That's
really
not
is
common.
From IRL.
Yeah.
I would actively tell, unless I told person like, listen, I'm like practicing for a matchup, like I need a different matchup. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's kind of messed up though.
Hey, good shout out though.
Definitely. I wish I knew who it was.
I wish
Would,
it really funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, we'll get him for you. Don't worry. We'll find him. I
I'll
can't believe
find
they
him.
would do this to your Yoshi, Isaac. In the meantime, thank you so much, and hope you have a good rest of your day, gamer.
Yeah, you too.
Take care.
That is funny when you consider it from the point of view of it being like, shouldn't the Yoshi be the one who's one? Like, you know what I mean? Shouldn't the Yoshi be the one that's like, I don't want to play the Sheik anymore? But the Sheik is the one that's like, you know what? F this. I'm done playing this Yoshi.
Yeah, if you really stop and think about it, it doesn't make any sense at all. But
Yeah, that's like so many things in life.
yeah. Next caller, we got one more here. Yon Har. I don't really know. I feel like I'm probably getting that right. But anyway,
I
correct
don't think
us.
I've ever gotten that name right.
Okay, well, correct us on your pronunciation. Where are you calling in
Yon
from? What's
Har.
your question for us today, gamer?
Yeah, hi. You got the name right, Jan Hart.
Yon
Canada?
Har.
Yon Har.
Cool to be talking to y'all. So yeah, my question was to Cody, but actually now that I think about it, I would love to hear PP's thoughts on this too.
Okay.
So Cody, you're kind of known to, I guess, push new Fox tech. Be like new wave, the Gen Z, like
No.
Gen Z.
Reddit said
Gen Z
I'm
jump.
Reddit said I'm predictable and boring. No, I don't. Do
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
right.
whatever. Whatever. Okay. But,
Yeah.
So what does the timeline look like for you from labbing the new Fox tech to working it out in friendlies to actually pulling it out in tournaments? Like, does
Usually
the
immediate.
first time tournament run, it's immediate?
Yeah, usually immediate. If I find something that I will work on in any capacity in friendlies, I'm down to do it in bracket. I'm confident in my tech skill. If I like, did someone say Gen Z jump?
Yeah, I said that.
Okay.
Gen Z
well,
jump.
I'm gonna move on
Wow.
from that.
Wow.
Well, that's truly innovative.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that if I get to the point that I can do something in friendlies, I'm just gonna try it in bracket. I don't particularly care. I feel like I should be able to just do it no matter what. I do have a trick where if I'm implementing a new tech, oftentimes I'll try to remind myself how the input felt before I try to do it in bracket, so that I have it like fresh in my head, and so I don't accidentally rush it or go too slow or hesitate, because that is the number one way rushing inputs or being not confident in them is the number one way that you'll mess it up. So I try to force myself to remember like the speed at which I have to do it, and that's pretty helpful for me.
Yeah. I mean, so there's not. I was kind of curious about this. Is there ever any tech that you feel like is more work to put in, and you're like, well, maybe this is going to be cutting it close for tourney, so I do it a little less? Or if it doesn't matter how hard it is, if you think it's worth it, then it is ready pretty quickly.
Not really. I think the bigger decider than how hard it is what is my expected reward from it. If I'm not going to get that much from it and it's super hard, then I'm like, well, I don't even care. Like, I'd probably find a better answer anyways. So at that point, it's just not worth it to me. But if it's hard, but I can do it, like I did the 2.0 basically immediately, which is a timing read on SDI. Trying to think what else instantly that new stuff that I've done. The short up air wasn't hard to do, obviously.
Right.
It was difficult to place at first, but it wasn't difficult.
From an execution standpoint.
Yeah, most of the Marth edge guards. Some of the Marth edge guards are actually really hard, but I did them immediately. But me and Zane also have over like 12,000 Slippy games in the past year and a half, so we've played so much that I've probably done it 100 times already before bracket. That's the key. If I think of something, I've usually done it so many times before bracket because of how much I play that it should happen immediately.
Right. And there's also this concept, right, of like, you really want to be playing your friendlies anyway.
Yeah.
Like you should be kind of going for the same thing in friendlies or in tournament, because otherwise you end up in these. And I know that there's people, like I've talked to Drug Fox about this, for example, where he has this kind of funny anecdote of like he was like fighting S2J in friendlies, and he was edge guarding him with this really high success rate, kind of just doing whatever. Like he was, it's Fox Falcon, you're edge guarding. You can kind of freestyle it, and his edge guard success rate was very high. And then he was playing him in tournament, and he was kind of like, okay, I should do this flowchart. And he was surprised, because he didn't actually practice the flowchart in friendlies. He kept dropping the edge guard. And he had this kind of eureka moment where he's like, well, either I need to be doing the flowchart in friendlies, or I need to just fucking wing it in tournament. I think there's people who do struggle with this, where they try to do different things, where they don't quite practice what they're actually going to apply in tournament and friendlies, or vice versa. And I think that can be really dangerous. So I think it's definitely really good to try to do the same techniques that you're doing in friendlies in tournament and vice versa.
Yeah, for sure. Since I was also asked to give a little bit on this, I don't know if it's been too long, but I just wanted to say that you
did a lot of innovation.
Yeah,
for sure.
and I think a lot of it kind of came up when I would look at a video, or I would look at the situation. I'd be like, man, this thing is getting in the way a lot, or it's causing a problem a lot, or it's just making things harder. How can I make something easier? And whether that's a specific setup, a movement setup, or whether that's some type of tech that I haven't wanted to add, or whatever it is, I'll start saying, okay, well, I could just get so much more value if I did that. And that's the first thing. That's kind of what Cody was talking about as well, is that if you think you're going to get your high enough value, and you're like, how hard does it seem like it is? And if it doesn't seem too hard, then the risk reward for working on it is obvious. It's like, yeah, do it. And then I practice it by myself. I practice it, and I'll try to do movements that make it related. So if relevant to a match. So if I want to do an edge guard, then I do whatever technique, whatever movements I want to do, like I'm doing an edge guard. And then I mix it with something that I would do to mix it up. Like, if I want to cover a shorten versus setup for an up B, if I'm fighting against a spacey, for example, I would do a different movement. And so I'm trying to cover different sets of things. And so you might think about it that way. And then you go to using it when you're in friendlies, and you're like, okay, well, now I'm trying this out. I'm starting the friendly specifically to try this out. These are I'm going to try the movements. Here's the spot. And you get your information. And you have your video data. You go back over both of those. Depending on how comfortable you are, you either can correct it live or you correct it over the video. You go back to your practice, make sure that's all good. And then, eventually it gets more comfortable, and it might even click right away, or it might click occasionally. You figure it out, and then it starts feeling good. You feel good adding stuff to your game, and then you focus on that. Comes into tournament, and it like Cody's saying, I think it does start to feel really automatic. And so that's how it needs to be by the time it's pretty much tournament time. And maybe you think about it a little bit just to make sure. But yeah, and so I think it's a pretty streamlined process where you're just basically checking yourself the whole time,
I wonder how different this is for, I wonder if this is a fairly universal thing, or if there are people where this is very different. This kind of process. Like, I wonder if there are people whose answers are, with regards to techniques that you practice, and the process of how you kind of try to, for you, Cody, you said it was kind of more immediate. And I wonder if there's people where they feel like they need to spend a lot of time doing things in friendlies before they ever go for it in tournament or something. I don't know. I look at someone like Zane, for example, who maybe does this a little bit less these days, but I know that when he was still kind of getting good, even when he was already top 100, top 50. And I remember I would play him in friendlies, and he would in friendlies, he would really focus on, for example, power shield up tilt. It felt like he would look for power shield up tilt every neutral interaction in a game. And of course he's not going to play like this in tournament, but it felt like he needed to really deliberately do a specific technique and almost go out of his way, almost spamming it.
I like that though. I think that's a good way to learn. That's actually one of the biggest pieces of advice I tell people who are learning a new tech is spam it. Find the situation, try to force situations where it would come up in friendlies over and over again to get not only experience doing it, but also recognition of what the situation looks like, where it works and where it doesn't work, so that you can learn it as quickly as possible. Because that's equally as important, but much less thought about.
Makes sense.
And you just get practice doing it in matches. So it all comes together.
I also think friendlies are a really good time to play like that. So I think Zane and I have really constructive sessions because we usually play for an hour and a half, 2 hours at first, and we're just kind of trying stuff out, playing, but not like, oh my god, I need to win, and then we do probably like an hour of sets afterwards.
Right. So
And
then you
those sets
apply
are
all
like,
that.
yeah, and those sets are like, okay, let's fucking do everything we've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. And I think that's honestly a different way of top players playing together. I don't think that's really something that's happened much in the past, but you guys having very constructive time together. You say, okay, we're going to sit down, we're going to use our time a certain way, and then serious time at the end, put everything together so we can kind of get everything together. We can really practice against each other and get the most out of it. I think that's very unique. I mean, when I started, top players didn't even play each other. They all hid, a lot of them hid their tech. So,
That's
it's very
true.
different now.
It's a good point.
I know. I think it's so wag. I don't think Zane and I have ever hid like anything from each other, basically. Not that I could think of.
Yeah.
I also no disrespect to anyone else. I think there's also a reason that we're 1 and 2 with those mentalities.
To be fair, I
that's
mean,
the
it's
one.
a lot easier, I imagine, these days than you know, PP in your time, right? Like there's
still people.
Well,
that
if
don't
you
wanna
wanted
play.
to play with another top player.
Yeah, let me
you
just
had to
go
do
to
it-
Sweden. Let me go hang out with
Yeah,
my
you
mom.
had to do
that.
exactly. You had to do it at a tournament. So
That you can't do, but there's still players even nowadays where I can tell they're trying to like get information and hide stuff, and I see it in their gameplay. I'm like, dude, it's like, one, I see that you're hiding information, so the fact that you're hiding
Right.
information isn't even helping you. But two, I'll play against another top player, and it's clear like they're not even trying. They're watching my habits and not even playing me, and it's just a waste of time at that point.
Right.
Why am I even here?
Right. Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, not going to drop names. We don't need this to be the highest rated Radio Melee episode.
Yeah.
But thank you, Jan Har, for calling in with your question today. Really do appreciate it. Any shout outs for us on your way out?
Oh yeah. Shout out to Canada Melee, BC Melee, Gallant Gaming. My boy Midnight Blue actually doesn't live in BC anymore. But
Oh,
also,
that guy's awesome.
wait, I have to say, every time there's like a BC tournament or a Canada tournament, I see 10 trillion tweets from every top player being like, "Oh, Canada's so great. Wish I lived here." Nobody fucking moves here. Somebody needs to do it. We need like 5.
I think Amsa's going to move there.
Ops is working on it. That's true.
Yeah,
Ops
I've been
is
hearing
working
about
on
this
it.
for a year. Just like 2 more people. Come on. Anyway,
Come on.
that's it.
That's funny.
Great talking to y'all. Bye.
Goodbye.
Take care.
All right. Well, I think that was all the selling I need. I'm moving to Canada tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is really nice. Toronto was awesome.
Yeah, Toronto's gorgeous. I liked it a lot.
As was Battle of BC. It is funny we had back-to-back like Canadian.
Yeah,
You know,
but
Canadian
it's like
majors.
EGLX and Gommel used to be back to back.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Those always mixed me up because they're like in the same city and everything. At least with Battle of BC and Gommel, we got to see 2 different sides of the country.
Yeah, and I mean, I've only been, I think, once. Really like to go back, experience more. It's been a few years, but you know, one day. And speaking of experiencing, boy, I'm just gonna continue my wonderful segue game I've been doing this whole time.
Oh my god.
We're gonna let Cody experience what it's like to ask the YouTube comments a question. Wow, very cool. It's the community voice.
The community voice.
Yes, it's that special time for that special someone who's been on the program, and he can ask the YouTube comments anything he'd like, anything he's curious about, anything about himself, the community, or really anything. The floor is yours, Mr. Cody. Is there anything that you feel that's just so pressing, so important that you've just got to ask those YouTube commenters?
I'm debating if I want to be instructional with this and get probably less comments for you guys, or want to be more memey and get probably a bunch of comments for you guys.
Yeah, it's tough. It's always tough. We live a dual life, a competitor and content creator.
I think I'm going to go instructional for this one because that's what most of the talk has been about this time. And if you made it to this point, you're probably interested in melee improvement. I'm going to venture that as a pretty worthwhile guess.
A lot of people do skip straight to the end, though, just so you know.
Well, just watch the video then.
Tell them.
That's right. That's right. We went through all this trouble.
What is your most pressing goal with melee, and what can you do today to make a change to get closer to that goal?
Oh, that's
He's so motivational.
Beautiful. What
He's
can
so
you
motivational.
do today? Don't do it tomorrow. Do it today. What can you do today,
it.
Crimson Blur?
Do
Everyone
it.
should watch. Side note: people who are interested in this topic, I think my favorite video on PP's channel, and I've told him this, is PP has like it's pretty, I don't know, it's like 20, 30 minutes, something like that, where PP is basically talking to Crimson Blur about improvement and basically lecturing
Don't
him.
let him get away with anything.
Oh, dude, I would like pay money for like a recurring series where you try to pep talk Blur into.
The last time I talked to Blur about stuff, I asked him how a week later he came into my chat. I was like, "How things going?" Blur? He's like, "I've stopped playing." he didn't want it. He didn't want it. It's just how it is.
Wow.
And if Blur, I imagine you won't hear this somehow. But if you do hear this, you're welcome to come back. I'm willing to run it again. It was funny.
Man. Yeah.
That's the most Blur thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
He hasn't stopped playing. I ran into him on Unranked the other day. He's on Unranked all the time.
Oh, love a Blur.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, your question, Cody, was what's a goal that you have right now? And I'm assuming you're not just saying a melee goal, just a goal. And then what do you could you take today?
Yeah, sure, it could be life goal. I was gonna go melee goal. Life goal works too. Sure.
Yeah.
People, we're gonna get some melee answers for sure. I mean, but that's a good one. I like that. Oh, what can you do today?
Cody, I'll direct your question at you. Is there a goal that you want? Have you started on the swimming, for example? I know you said you were doing that. Is there some goal that you have?
And it sucks. We tried,
and it sucks.
Pools. There's no pool nearby, so I have to try.
You got to make your own pool.
Workout. I don't know. About
Make your own pool. You gotta dig a hole. You gotta fill it with water. You gotta put the chlorine in it.
Yeah.
Well, I actually haven't heard much about swimming. Do you mind if PP? I'm gonna ask him about it real quick.
Oh yeah. Please.
Are you a new swimmer, or are you just getting back into swimming?
No, I swam varsity.
You swam both.
Yeah.
Look at you. That's so
I swam
sick.
varsity for a few years.
This guy's got no hair on his body.
It's great.
Oh
chlorine wiped off all the hair. It's amazing. I love it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I swam varsity for a few years. It's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite sport by far. I really like swimming, and it's low impact. It's just good for you. It's a full body workout. I really like it.
So how long has it been since you last swam?
Swam for a bit. So I was really in good shape like 4 years ago. 6 years ago now.
That sounds around the time you started melee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ignoring that, there was a time where I basically was working out 2 hours a day, swimming and lifting for an hour each, and I was in really good shape. I want to get closer back to that because that also takes care of your hands. It takes care of energy. I actually think a lot of top players crash by the end of tournaments and don't realize it because we're not in good shape.
Yeah.
Straight up. Just a little anecdote here. So I've been going to the gym 3 days a week for the last, let's say, 2 months. Like I sat on my ass all COVID, and I finally got back in the gym. I mean, it was kind of harder to get to the gym for a while because of COVID regulations.
Right.
For about 2 months now, I've been going 3 times a week. And
nice.
at Gommel, I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, I actually have I have way more stamina by the end of the weekend than I usually do. It was noticeable. And I was staying up late. I had no business feeling pretty good. But I remember Sunday rolled around, and I was like, I feel good. And I don't usually feel, I usually feel super drained by the end of the weekend. So yeah, any top players really anybody should be probably exercising more than they do, unless they're already on some kind of routine.
Yeah, multi-day tournaments are hard.
Yeah, most people crash. I see a drastic dip in gameplay quality almost across the board by day 3 too. It's very, and even so Zane and I both are very meticulous about what we eat. So basically every morning we'll have like an acai bowl. And we both are very good about only eating like banana and proteins throughout the day with water. But even then, by Sunday, we're all just wiped. It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is exhausting. Competing's hard, but we're 20-something years old. Like, we shouldn't be that tired. You shouldn't be that tired. You need to take care of your body. And it's probably affecting a lot of people, especially the older you get. It probably affects you more and more and more. So
and this is something I think I'm really glad that you're bringing up, talking about. I think actually last time you were on, we were having discussions about food at tournaments, right? Yeah. So this is something that you've been staying on top of, you've been talking about, and I think that's that's just a huge part in your success. You're looking at this holistically. You're trying to bring everything in, and because you're not just a melee player, you're a human playing melee, and you have to optimize all the human parts. And we don't have we're not League of Legends where we have, $1 million coaches that we bring in from football or whatever to help us. And so we've got to figure this stuff out ourselves. And so that's why it's so important for you to be talking about this and letting people know, hey, I'm succeeding. I'm winning all these tournaments right now. And a lot of it's because I'm figuring out, how I work best, how I can feel my best, how, I can work best with my body, and how that's noticeably changing things. So that's, hats off to you for that.
Whole body process.
Yes,
Take care of
sir.
yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to eat after
That's
this. I'm
wonderful.
starving.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Cody's
Another
hungry.
important
We're getting him out of here so we can get some food. But thank you so much, Cody, for your
Yeah, thank you
time.
for having me.
Great
everyone
insight.
calling in, everyone from Cody's chat,
Yes.
Cody's mods.
Yes, the
Thank
mods.
you so much. Thank you so much. And we'll be back next Tuesday, as we do, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Cody, thank you so much. This is not your first time on Radio Melee, and it probably won't be your last. But to everybody else, see y'all next week. To everyone on YouTube, like and subscribe. Peace out. This has been Radio Melee, everybody. Goodbye.
See ya. Peace.